Welcome back to Blabbing with Entrepreneurs. I'm Gene Volpe, and today we have Chuck Peterson from Peterson Insurance. First, before we get into anything, Chuck, I just wanted to announce to everybody, I'm excited after one episode, we have our first sponsor. This Blabbing with Entrepreneurs is brought to you by Vision Tech Media. So if you need your social media or your website design and you're a business looking for more exposure, check out visiontechmedia.com. Tell them Gene sent you. So, Chuck, welcome to the show, my friend.
Great to be here, Gene. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I see you doing a little bouncing around there. What's going on?
What's that?
You're bouncing around a little bit there? What's going on?
Oh, yeah. Sitting on an exercise ball. One of the things bringing in health and wellness into the workplace. So even if you have to be sitting at a desk, I sit there on this all day and engage the core. So I got the exercise ball, and it's fun. You just act like a child there as you're typing away or whatever. So
I like that. I like what you said. You said health and wellness in the workplace. So we're going to get into a little bit of that a little bit later in the show. But first, the first thing we usually like to do is, the end result of this show is to give people, entrepreneurs, people that are thinking about being entrepreneurs, some ideas and some guidance. Real talk, basically. I don't steer away from all the mistakes I've made. As a matter of fact, I tell people all the time, it's not that I'm so successful that I can tell you what to do. It's that I failed so many times I can tell you what not to do. And I'm pretty sure you probably have plenty of those stories of your own that we can impart to the people that are listening. Right?
100%.
So let's talk a little bit about you and I. As has become the theme in the first couple shows here, my first couple of guests have been from Paul Bunyan CrossFit, guys that I get a chance to work out with. So let's talk about that meeting first.
Excellent. Yeah, PBC. Sorry, you broke up for a second there. That's why I didn't know. We'll come back to the other stories. Because ironically, I listened to another podcast, Tim Ferriss Experiment. And last night I was listening to it while I was doing some painting at the house. And they talked about, the reason that people, and I forget who the famous person is who did this, or said this, but the reason that they're successful is because they failed every way possible. So they found every way to fail through the process, and that's how they became so great. So right to your point, I love that. We met at Paul Bunyan CrossFit, and just a great group of people there, great tribe, of great community that those guys have put together there at the gym. And it's been nice because it not only do you get in shape physically and mentally, and play your edge and push your boundaries, and that's big for me because that's a metaphor off the mat. I got into yoga too, as you know. And so we met and, hit it off right away and seemed to form a kindred spirit right away because, I do some work in the real estate space with my niche in insuring, all aspects of real estate across the country. And of course, your real estate concierge and all the other entrepreneurial stuff you're up to as well. So that kind of worked out nice that from day one, we kind of had that synchronicity.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what I find at that place, one of the reasons why I'm so drawn to it is because of the type of human beings that come out of it. I know it sounds weird, and people always talk about, CrossFit being a cult. I always tell people, whatever it is that you're into for your health and wellness, I don't judge. Enjoy yourself, get better, get healthier, get fitter, and it'll make you better all around. So let's talk about the triangle of success, right? So if you picture a triangle, at each point, there's a different element of your day, with the top being business and then the two bottoms being health and family, right? And part of the challenge and the fun is balancing all those acts at the same time, right? So originally, when I started this thing, and I think for the first 2.5 years, this is where I made a lot of mistakes, I always felt that the business should be at the top and all the good stuff from the business, like money and success, flow to health and family. And I had a coach that said to me, you got it upside down. You need to go to health first, and all the good stuff will trickle down to your business and your family. And that, for me, proved to be true. So I'd like for you to talk about those three elements in your life and how they play out a little bit.
That's a great question. It's a great point. And you hit the nail on the head. And interestingly enough, back to that quote that we were just talking about, the reasons for my success now that continues to happen and more good things on the horizon is all because I made all those mistakes. Growing up. So I think it's through that we grow and, learn how to do things correct. I mean, I'm a type A personality and, I charged hard, especially early in my 20s. And without boring you in all the details of it, essentially, I burned out at a young age in the industry. I'm an insurance entrepreneur. And, in the agency, I burned out because I was burning the candle at all ends. And just like you just said, I thought that the business top of the triangle, was the one that then when that got in place, everything else fell into place with family, with health, etc. And intuitively, I must have known that in the past, it had always been a focus for me on, health. I played sports in high school and college. And then that took care and made me more productive throughout the rest of my life. But, I got it wrong for a period of time and I focused too much on the business. And so my health suffered physically and mentally to the point where my brain started screaming out in my body. And I had terrible anxiety and panic attacks. And for anybody who's having a panic attack, they are, and I don't know if I've shared this with you before or not, at the gym, but I mean, they're crippling. It's an illness, it's a disease, and it really, or a dis-ease, as I found out later through yoga, but, it's really, really tough. And so going through all of that, it really slowed me down and had me take a look at my priorities. And, unfortunately along the way, I definitely made some mistakes and I don't want to say burned bridges, but, definitely made things harder for the people around me through that period of time with family and friends, and even through the business and my own health, and my well-being. And it just was not the, ideal, full, passionate life that I wanted to live and who I am. And one day I just said, this is enough. Like, I've got to get my priorities in order. And to that point, at that point at the time, yoga found me, or I found yoga. And you can see in the back here, behind the ball, I've got the yoga poster with all 908 poses for yoga, and that's the Om symbol. So started getting into yoga, meditation, all forms of alternative, spirituality and so on. And, at the time, this was probably more than a decade ago, there weren't a lot of guys in there. And a lot of my friends that I played football with or basketball, et cetera, were like, oh yeah, yoga, well, that's easy. And I was like, come on, check out a class, come try it. And you'll be humbled. And needless to say, as everybody now knows, they were. And, there's certain levels of yoga in the sense of, the physical practice, the breathing, linking the breathing to the movements, and then, meditation. The ultimate goal is obviously to use that to be able to sit and meditate. But without diving into that too much, that really started to work on me. And it really started to get that balance back. And I was calmer, wasn't having the anxiety attacks, was able to, get off the medication that they prescribe for that, which is, can be, it can just sink its hooks into you, and be very addictive. And, then I got my feet back under me and, learned a lot of lessons at a young age, and kind of rebuilt things from the ground up, on what I thought of as success. So, without belaboring the point too much, by me going into that really set the base now, or the top of that triangle, if you look at it that way, of health and wellness, and that being yoga and CrossFit. And I try to have a regular meditative practice, even if it's only for, 5 minutes a day. Sometimes, if I have more time, we have a 13-month-old son at home, so it's a little bit of a challenge, but, it could be a half an hour in the morning, and so that's really the basis and sets the tone for my day. And I find if I don't take care of that, everything else slips. My interactions with family, with coworkers, my productivity at work, my energy level. As we've talked about this before, but, for everybody listening and tuning in, that's the name of the game. So some people say, well, how can you afford to give up a half an hour? Or how can you afford to give up an hour for CrossFit or an hour and a half for yoga or here and there? Well, how can I not afford to do it? Because that is an investment in my health. That's an investment in my happiness. And it makes me a better person, a better father, a better worker, a better entrepreneur, and more fun to be around. And I think that translates into success in all those ways.
There's no question that nobody wants to be around a deadbeat, right? And somebody who's a miserable, pessimistic person. And there is scientific evidence, let's just keep it simple. but there's scientific evidence that there's chemicals in your body that go to your brain when you do things active that help you think better, that help you smile more often, that make you feel better about yourself. And I just did a podcast recently where it was about the sales aspect of it. You want to deal with somebody who's a miserable curd when they're trying to sell you their insurance, or would you rather it's somebody that you want to be around and have a beer with?
Exactly. People do business, like, with people who they know, like, and trust. And that's exactly it. And they want to be around those folks, and all things being equal, they'd rather do business with that person. So yeah, it's a very good point. And to your point, they've proved all of this recently, and yogis have known it for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, but neuroplasticity and that the brain can develop. So even when I was coming out of all that and had the balance and the triangle wrong, working out, starting to do yoga, CrossFit, all of those modalities, I mean, it really just starts to retrain the brain and release more of that serotonin, that neuroepinephrine, dopamine, all the feel-good stuff. That
listen, you just
really
said
helps.
a lot of words that, number one, I have no idea what you're talking about. Number two, I challenge you to spell any of them. You probably can't. But listen. So that's huge, right? Because I know one of the things that I'm missing is the meditation aspect of it. And, I have 1,000 excuses till Sunday. My brain moves too fast. I can't get quiet time. I know it's all junk, right? And I know that how much better I would be off if I took like you said, 10, 15 minutes to pay attention to blood flow and pay attention to the sounds, nature sounds. It sounds stupid, but just getting that stuff out of your head. Like, I'll tell you something, Chuck, you'll appreciate this. We're both married to Italian women, right? My wife said to me,
"Oh yeah,
what are you thinking about?" And I would say, "Nothing." Because that's not humanly possible. You have to be thinking about something. And I go, no, watch this. I'm not thinking about nothing. That's all I was doing. So I know that I can do the meditation. I know that I can. It's very easy to clear my head, right? But so let's talk now about that aspect of bringing it to your business. Real quick, we know Peterson Insurance, so I know what you do. The people probably know what you do. But let's talk about your business, because one of the things I always like to get into is how did you get into it, right? And I know the story, but these people don't. And where are you taking it? So let's talk about that a little bit. What do you do?
Fantastic. So we started out as a scratch independent insurance agency back in 1998, January of 98. And my mom was actually the original founder. I was at Villanova at the time, Villanova University. And I joined pretty much from day one. So at 18 years old, I got licensed, and I was selling auto and home to people. And they probably thought, who is this, this kid that's trying to, provide better coverage for my auto and home and, save me money, but give me coverage. So I had to know my product knowledge right out of the gate. I mean, if I didn't, I was done. I had to make up for that baby face and looking young with product knowledge. So real quickly, we started to grow, hard work, marketing. My dad joined on a few years later when he retired from his former position at the school district. Both my parents were in education, so we really believed in knowledge, and knowledge is power. So we really, not having the insurance background per se, they didn't come from insurance. We had to learn quickly. So kind of fast forward is. Graduated from Villanova, got into the commercial aspect of the business. My parents ran the personal lines and the life insurance. And since that time, we've grown. Now we have over 10,500 clients, I would say. We're licensed in all 50 states. We do personal, commercial, some niches. We work with real estate, whether it's, single family, owner operator, investment property on up to, 1,000 units scattered across the country with 10 different locations. So we work with a lot of different, sizes and types, property managers, you name it. Same thing goes with all the businesses, manufacturing, real estate, and then also the bread and butter, the personal lines. We look at ourselves as trusted advisors, and we have access to every carrier market in the industry that is, accessible. That's not a captive insurance company like an Allstate or State Farm. But, that's been nice that we've positioned ourselves with all those carriers, and we really pride ourselves in customer service and going this was an interesting one. Bear Grylls, who Man vs. Wild, a guy that I looked up to and still look up to a couple years ago on the some of those Survivor shows, and I had a chance to meet with him and spend a weekend out in Lake Tahoe with a select group of people. And we were talking with Bear. He gave a speech about how he climbed Mount Everest when he was a young kid and so on. And he said that his British Special Forces commando said, or commando manager at the time, boot camp, whatever, said the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just that little word extra. And so he considered himself an ordinary man who just worked that little bit extra hard. And so that's what I tell our staff here is just work extra, just that little bit extra. So just wow the client just that much more, work that much harder, and then you'll earn referrals. And so I think that's one of the reasons that, people have been loyal to us and we're blessed to have continued to grow. So, we're looking forward to growing and taking this thing to, the next level, but still treating everybody, as the unique client that they are, whether they're a small client.
I love that. And so I got to give a little bit of shout out to Mrs. Peterson, because I actually did not know that. I didn't realize she started the company. I just ignorantly assumed that your old man did. And so I got to give her some love, man. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's funny. That happens a lot, and she reminds us all the time.
Of course she does.
There was a period there where we actually, and I jumped over this just in the interest of time, but there was a period where, I split out probably in my mid-20s, 25, and went off and started my own agency. And, it was a great experience for all of us, because then 3 years later, we merged back together stronger. There was duplication of overhead. The economies of scale were better just to be back under one unit, but it allowed me to grow up, and do some things on my own, and that allowed them to, see what I brought to the table and appreciate that more and so on. So now we're stronger as a team, but that was a great learning experience.
Well,
at a young
that's
age.
Impressive. 10,500 clients is nothing to shake a stick at for sure. But let's talk a little bit. And I know you said this, but let's just recap: personal, home, auto, business, corporate liability. What else?
We have some strategic partners. We do some life insurance. We get into employee benefits with some strategic partners that we have as well. But we do workers' comp. We do all types of, hard to place stuff, bonds, excess liability, commercial auto. I think you named them all though, but package policies. I mean, directors and officers, employment practices liability, professional liability. I hate to use the word full service, but we can accommodate and make sure that the client has every coverage.
All right, so let's talk about one thing that I didn't hear you say there, which was the Yogi Chuck aspect of it. I find this to be quite interesting. So why don't you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So speaking of this poster behind me, there's a reason for it. Getting into yoga, I also became a certified yoga instructor 8 or 9 years ago now, right after I started the journey into yoga. And as an offshoot of that, again, being an entrepreneur, and always, as entrepreneurs are, Gene, always thinking about, okay, well, I have this skill set, how can I help? And looking at things from that opportunistic standpoint. And I love to start new things. I love to help people and serve them. And so all of a sudden I said, hey, wait. And it's at the time my instructor, who I took teacher training with, said, Chuck, you've been kind of like pushing insurance away because of, the anxiety and all this stuff, but why not incorporate it and bring in this new skill set and help serve yogis? Because at the time there's only like maybe one or two options max for, folks to get insured, yogis to get insured for their studio and for their individual instruction. And they were all big corporate Fortune 500 companies. The people behind the desks, I don't know if they do yoga, but probably not. And they definitely didn't walk the walk and talk the talk and go on to the festivals and so on. So, I came up with an idea. We came up with an idea for a program that was, for yogis by yogis. So came up with Yogi Chuck Insurance Services. And now it's a niche that we have our own website, yogichuck.com. And again, all 50 states. And we help. It's our pleasure to, brother, to serve, everybody throughout the country. Whether it's just advice, hopefully we help them with their studio needs or their individual needs for insurance, and really break it down in like standard English as to what they need. Because look, most yogis don't really care about insurance. The last thing they want to think about, hopefully nobody sues their yoga instructor, but you got to have it. So, We break it down in simple English, make sure they have what they need, make sure all their modalities are covered, like modalities, different stuff. They might do CrossFit too. They might be a personal trainer, Pilates, whatever. So that's been a fun passion project, and it's been great helping out the fellow yogis, because so much.
That's brilliant. I love what you just said there, because they say if you work in your passion, you're not working, right? So that's good. That's great to hear. So real quick, let's go over it again. Give me the websites for Peterson Insurance as well as Yogi Chuck, and how people can contact you.
Yeah, no worries. So they can find us on petersoninsurance.com, and Peterson and insurance are all spelled out. It's Peterson. And yogichuck.com is just like Yogi Bear, but Yogi Chuck. I get that all the time. It's for the yogi. YOGICHUCK. And you'll find me on Instagram, Twitter at Yogi Chuck, are my handles. So that's I'm always looking to engage with fellow entrepreneurs like yourself, and help throughout that. I've been involved in a lot of different ventures over the years, and always looking to be a part of entrepreneurs in the discussion, because I love it, and I love what entrepreneurs do, and how
like
they change
you said,
the world.
It's nice. We've had this conversation before. While it can be stressful from time to time, you're right, your own ship in a lot of cases, but it's nice to have the flexibility when you need it. With we should have given a shout out to Jill and Logan a little earlier. Your wife.
Oh yeah.
Your wife
definitely.
and your son at home.
Thank
but
you.
It's nice to have that flexibility when you need it, even though you're working hard all the time. So, real quick, just the last thing. I mean, we're coming up on probably 20 minutes already, believe it or not. But the last thing I wanted to impart on the viewers is some advice. I always like to bring in the advice from the people that are actually out doing it. So if you were another version of your, let's say if you were the 23-year-old version again, what do you wish you knew that you know now, right? And what I mean by that is, it can be a positive thought, like this is what you absolutely should do to succeed, or it could be, whatever you do, steer clear of this. And I know I'm putting you on the spot. We talked a little bit about it before. But from Chuck Peterson to the next entrepreneur, what are you imparting on them?
Great question. And I think it's something that entrepreneurs and anybody in general should look back and get that perspective especially when you're working so hard in the business, to step back and look at it, not only to work on the business, but work on yourself. And so for me, the first word that comes to mind, and then I'll kind of elaborate a little bit more, is, dude, relax. It's going to be okay. So don't work so hard. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I'm so driven and so, aggressive with ideas, and, at the time afraid to say no to some. So I got pulled into too many directions and kind of lost my focus. And I know as entrepreneurs, we tend to do that, and I still have to watch it to this day. But honestly, the thing would be my advice would be to relax, to start a meditation process, and to trust, really to trust the journey, that it's going to be okay, because I really put a lot of pressure on myself to be crazy successful, and I was hurrying through everything, burning the candle at both ends, and really kind of missing out on the journey and the beautiful moments of life, and the gift that I had, which most people would say, was like, oh man, you went through that, was all of that anxiety and those panic attacks, and the hardships, which I'm not even going to get into all of them right now. But needless to say, there was some rough times there, and some rough years. And when I hit that bottom, I was blessed that now when I came back, now I'm living the life I wanted, and I created it again. What I really wanted, the ideal life, and honestly, it became magical. And it was like, even the most simplistic moment, if you're breathing right and you're just kind of there and noticing it, it's amazing. And here I was just hurrying through life and, trying to write more policies and do this and get that experience in, and run all over. And, it was crazy. So I think that would be it, is to just chill and chill and trust. So
that's awesome advice, because as you probably know from my personality, I'm more of that kind of guy, to the point where sometimes my wife thinks I might have no pulse. It's like, how do you not get upset or anything? Well, because here's the reality. We're stuck with this situation. It is what it is. and I can either put my head down and run through it, or I can get in the corner and suck my thumb and cry like a little baby.
Yeah, that's great point. And the last thing is that I would say on that before, transitioning is one of the things that recently I've been working on another project, working on a book, but from this whole journey. But the one is, at one point in that process, I became a victim, at the time. And I got away from I was very positive as a young adult, et cetera, all throughout my life, very happy. And then I let that kind of weigh on me. And, I went into a victim mentality, so to speak. And why was this happening to me? Why was I having anxiety? Why was I having panic attacks? Well, it was pretty obvious, but I didn't want to see it. But the point is now I said from victim to victor, you got to be the victor, no matter what, victorious, push through it. No, like you just said, no matter what, no excuses. It's just keep going, relax, worry about take care of the things you can control and let the other stuff, fly by. There's no reason to get upset. Enjoy the ride.
But you have to admit, so much easier said than done in most cases, right?
Oh, so much easier. And even to this day, sometimes still, I have to catch myself. I take a breath before a call with an irate client, and certain things that trigger it. So much easier said than done. It's a lifelong journey. For those of us that aren't born as Buddhas, it's a challenge, man. And I still struggle with it from time to time and have to kind of check back in, on those long days or sleepless nights and really watch that. So that's why working out, whether it's CrossFit or it's yoga, eating right. I just heard something the other day. I'm not sure if you and I talked about this or not, but, they're now saying that there's another brain in our gut, and this is scientifically proven. And by that, I mean that your gut produces the majority or a very good amount of serotonin in your body. So essentially, if you eat right, you can, I don't want to say I'm not a doctor. You can't replace medications if people need medications and antidepressants, but you can make a positive impact on your mood and on potentially avoiding those and having a healthier life if you eat the right foods, put them into your digestive tract, which we all know that's where health starts from. And then, and then try to stay in shape too.
I'm going to have to share this story somewhere down the line, but when you talk about the gut and gluten and things that you introduce into your body that cause allergies and things, I actually have a family member whose child has autism, and the doctor actually told them one of the reasons why they weren't speaking at a specific age was because of the gluten that they were eating. It was settling in their gut.
Wow.
And obviously, like you said, I'm not a doctor either. There was much more to it, right? And there were certain things that were said, I'm sure, and I don't even know if it's scientific fact, but after going through certain diets and removing the bad things and adding the good things, I think you'll agree when you do that, you operate at a different level. You're way more clear-headed. Yeah. You're more likable. You're less edgy. I know when I don't eat well and I'm drinking, at 9 o'clock in the morning is way too early. Whereas when you're doing the right things for your body, you got that internal clock that's saying, 7 o'clock, let's go. You should already be running. Right. Yeah. So I couldn't agree with you more.
And you optimize. You optimize. You can reach your potential. Through that. Yes, some people are still obviously going to need medications for different things. That's a beauty of science mixing in now with the other modalities and holistic approaches. So, but yeah, you're right, and it helps you optimize your potential. So that's
I got to get more info on it so that I can. I almost feel not great sharing it just because I don't have all the details. And I may have missed it completely, but I don't think for 2 seconds that your diet doesn't affect all that stuff,
Right. And bringing it back to entrepreneurs, the key is that, for us, we all work so hard, and, it does require, even though you have the flexibility, it requires a lot out of you, physically, mentally, emotionally, definitely days where Jill's like, oh man, he's staying up till X to get this thing done or out the door, boom. There's take backs too. And, it's so important to take care of that balance in the triangle with both the family, obviously too, and the health. so that you can, put your best foot forward and give your business a chance to, be successful and, help other people.
Isn't it, after all?
That's absolutely lifestyle business.
It's about making relationships, no question. The more you network, what's the old saying?
Absolutely.
The more your network grows, the more your net worth grows. Right? That's
like
pretty
that.
true. So, well, listen, here's what we're going to do. In an effort to save some time, we're going to wrap it up for today. But I want to say to you, as much as I enjoy you in person, I think I might like you better at this distance, right? But no, you've been a great friend over the short amount of time we've known each other. You're awesome on the show. I want to make sure that we do this again and you come back.
Round 2. Let's do it, man. I'm ready. Yeah, we got to open it up for some questions next time too. With the see if anybody has any feedback or anything we can dive into deeper. Man.
We can open the seats up for sure and do that stuff. But until then.
Cool.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Chuck, it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you this week, my friend.
Pleasure. Yeah, I'll see you soon. Thanks, buddy. Namaste, guys.